as a brand, Star Wars isn't really known for its playsets. I mean, they've had playsets. They've had playsets throughout the history of the brand, but it really is a figure slash vehicle brand when you're, kind of trying to come up with a cognitive image of what Star Wars toys look like. Playsets haven't really been the key driver. I mean, they've been tried in a lot of different ways. They've even tried making playsets that were just pieces of paper. I mean, heck, they were doing this back in the vintage days, though they threw in blue snaggletooth for, funsies. Anyway, yeah, I'm not saying playsets aren't important, and some of the most iconic Star Wars toys of all time have been playsets. But in the modern line, we've had limited. They started in Power of the Force 2 with things like the Death Star Escape, which was sort of a chunk, a room, a scene, if you will, that could come to life. And these continued to come out every couple years in Power of the Force 2, and each year we would tend to get different themes. The first year was A New Hope, the second year, shocker, was Hoth, and by the third year we were getting little chunks of Endor, I guess. Little chunks of Endor. It sounds like what they eat for breakfast. Although maybe only what, people who eat Ewoks eat for breakfast. Okay, I'm totally getting off track. The point is we had a shield generator. How cool was that? Now, a Star Wars playset doesn't tend to be kind of like a giant castle or an interactive thing like a Barbie Dream House or a Castle Grayskull, if you will, but Star Wars playsets can be fun, especially for those of us who are adult collectors and simply display. In fact, it's kind of ironic that one of the very first Power of the Force 2 playsets, which was the Detention Block Rescue, which was basically just sort of a chunk of a Death Star hallway, was kind of booed by a lot of fans as being not very exciting and pretty useless, but it was billed as being an item that you can stack side by side and build out dioramas, and fans wound up embracing that. Ironically, again, this is exactly where playsets are today with Hasbro and the vintage line. We're just getting wall sections that can be combined with other wall sections to build out larger mini playsets, if you will. So interesting how history can kind of repeat itself, and things that once bothered us doesn't bother us anymore under a different light or maybe under a different price point. Who knows? Some things are just priceless and never go out of style. What can I say? All right, so getting on to today's SKU and what we're talking about and why we're talking about playsets is because this is our first playset with figure. It was the Millennium Falcon CD Rom playset. See, it says playset right there. It's a CD Rom playset, which means you get a physical toy and a virtual toy because we all know screens are the best things for kids. Hey, I love Nintendo. I played Super Mario and Zelda till the cows came home. Not knocking video games. Just saying, kids need other things too. All right, so a cool set came with everything you see here, which included, of course, the actual plastic playset, which was the inside of the Falcon. It was both the gunner station and the cockpit put side to side as if magically they were next to each other, but I guess for the sake of the video game they needed to be. Can't say I ever played the game. Like I said, I wasn't that much of a gamer. I played 8-bit Nintendo, but I really did love physical toys. I'm not knocking video games. Some of my favorite games are video games. Boy, that sounded terrible. But yeah, I was much more of a physical toy kid, which is why I was really only interested in the physical aspect of this playset and not said CD-ROM. But if I recall, the asking price was pretty high. It was like $39.99 when basic figures were $4.99, and I was going on a comic book store register guy, the guy behind the register at the comic book store. So, yeah, I wasn't exactly bringing in big bucks in high school, and investing in a giant CD-ROM game just to get an action figure wasn't really something I wanted to do, but as a completist, it was always bugging me because, yep, there was a unique Han Solo that came with this playset. And honestly, the playset itself, while it was meant to go over your keyboard, and I guess by hitting that little blue button or pressing down on the chairs, it would cause things to happen on the computer. I don't know. I don't really know how computers work. I think they have like cheese and a hamster inside, and as it runs around the reel, that's how you connect to the internet, the faster it goes. Well, as I said, the thing that really appealed to me about the set was that it came with an exclusive Han Solo action figure. Now, it was billed on packages being a unique Han Solo action figure, and unique it was, and legally speaking, it was unique. We had Han Solos in the line before, the first one in the modern line being the Power of the Force to Cantina / A New Hope buffed out Han Solo from Wave 1, and we'd had other Han Solos released soon afterwards, and some came with giant chunks of things that you didn't really need. Well, this Han Solo also had a sort of orange vest sculpted on. Others Hans that came with chunks of things included the gunner stations, which I recently did the video for. Now, it's interesting, especially in this video, because this is the same Han. The Han that comes with the gunner station and the Han that came with the CD-ROM playset is Han with his headset on and his gloves on, as he was in the gunner station. So what are you really getting uniquely with this playset that costs way more than an average figure and way more than a comic book store registered jockey has? Jockey, that's the word I was looking for before. A registered jockey, that's what I was. Well, this one had bendy knees. Yep, he's on the left. The gunner station one on the right. Thank you to Rebel Scum for the image. Great site. But I think the point is not how great the site is that I borrowed these images from. It's the fact that, yeah, the uniqueness of this figure, his bendy knees really make it unique. Well, obviously we've had a lot of Star Wars figures, and a lot of those Star Wars figures have been Han Solo figures over the years, this one included, in this being the very first one from 1978. Because remember, they didn't have figures in 1977 because no one believed in the property. Hey, would you if the only sci-fi was Barbarella and Planet of the Apes? The point is that Han has been released many times and in many ways, sometimes just with a gun, sometimes with a giant piece of equipment to torture the heck out of those monkeys. Barry Lutz. All right, sorry, off track. So yeah, he's come with a lot of cool stuff, and sometimes the stuff is worth keeping. Sometimes they're great accessories to display him with, and the gunner stations and the torture rack were pretty cool. But to have to shell all of that dough out for a play set just because Han had bendy knees, oh, it was torturing me as a completist. Because as completists, we have to have all the figures. It's what completists mean. Now, this version of Han, I guess you'd call it Gunner Station Han, would later come out as a single-carded figure. Actually, well, one time, then he was packed actually with the Millennium Falcon, with Chewbacca. So it became a figure that reoccurred quite a few times as time went by. And, of course, knees were introduced on Han Solo on all going forward with the Comtech Han that came out right before Episode 1. So yeah, we're obviously going to get the same figures done over and over again, but at the time when this set came out during Power of the Force 2, we didn't know that. We thought it was sort of a one and done. So the idea of rebuying the same figure again, just because he's in a bendy knee pose, I mean, I get that Han has to bend his knees in order to do all the heroic things we see him do in movies, like sit in chairs and get tied to sticks and, bendy knee things. Well, this was way before we were going to get reissues of figures and updates of figures as we have today, looking back. At the time, it felt like a one-and-done line, and getting another Han just because he had bendy knees, it was a cool Millennium Falcon set, but I really had no place to put it, and it was really meant to just go over a keyboard as opposed to being a true playset. Well, lucky for me, I was blessed with a wonderful friend, Brian, in high school who just wanted the CD-ROM, and he agreed to buy it, and then just gave me the Han that he didn't even want. He just wanted the CD-ROM and the playset. What a perfect friendship. That was so nice of him. Or maybe I wound up giving him $5 for it. Either way, I got my Han, he got to shoot first, and I didn't have to have the playset.